Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel, wishing you a happy healthy start to this nice Wednesday hump day. And we're all about to get humped. In fact, Bitcoin just got humped down 1,000 points. So the next target is 10,000. And tomorrow when it goes up 1,000 again, the next target will be 100,000. That's right. It's always in limbo right here. There's no in between. There's no nuance. And it is just moon or doom, baby, because that's what gets the views. That's what gets the views. In fact, if you're not aware of it, that's the whole YouTube game. That's the whole Twitter game. That's the whole social media fucking game. Because we're emotional creatures, my friends. But I'm getting way ahead of myself right now. Anyways, let's actually start off this analysis by something a little bit different. I want to reference a feature on the app, a new feature which you can, which anyone can use, which is the events tab over here, because there actually are several events today, that being February 22nd. Which, according to my calendar, is indeed today. And we do see that there's a couple of Fed speakers that are going to be around midday, at least for myself over here in Dubai. And then we got FOMC minutes coming out as well. So, you know, with these sort of things, Elsa's coughing in the background, but she's mostly fine now, it does seem. But these sort of things, you know, they're probably not going to be anything like tremendously new, but volatility will very likely spike around these sort of mini events, especially with the FOMC minutes. I mean, there really shouldn't be anything new there, but you know, things will move around, so do be aware of that coming up later today. Anyways, again, you can find all this information for free on the app. There's a link in the description below. app.krowntrader.net. Pretty cool new feature and more to come as well. Anyways, back to the charts over here. I want to start off where we left off yesterday. Yesterday we were looking at 24,500 as a short-term hourly pivot for getting more downside into 24,000 bucks or the upper 23s, which is kind of where we're at as of right now. Then we're going to go into the medium-term timeframes and then even speaking about a potential setup that could be emerging later today. But you know, well, we'll get to that when we get to that one. So here on the hourly, yeah, you can see the closure below yesterday's 50% range lows, boom, all the way back down to 24,000 bucks throughout the rest of the day. In fact, you know, a few bounce attempts in between, that's fine, but ultimately, I don't really have any reason to believe that this one is stopping just here, because when we go and flip over to the 4-hour chart, or actually before we get into the 4-hour chart, I should say that the reason why I don't think, or at least there is going to be pressure down as far as this goes, as far as returns goes, you know, as long as Bitcoin's below about 24,500, the same sort of breakdown point from yesterday on an hourly closing basis minimum, preferably a 4-hour closure, would be a lot more confidence inducing. You know, I'd say that you know, we're more likely to see further downside than not. In fact, Bitcoin's spiking down a little bit more here. 4-hour time frame, same thing, and this is kind of where I'm getting this from. So the hourly, as we were looking at from yesterday, was going to bleed into the 4-hour with a closure below 24,300. Obviously, that's happened this morning. Again, Dubai time. And we can see that volatility is still increasing on this. So, you know, does this move have more on it? Probably yes. Before the next sort of like bigger bounce, if you will. In this case, you know, anywhere down to about 23.4 to 23.5 is fair game. Again, assuming that Bitcoin remains below that 24,500 pivot, that sort of short-term pivot from yesterday's video, you know, pressure is to the downside here. So in this case, yeah, I'd be looking at that as the next area of interest, about 23,400, 23,500. And of course, that's going to be about the same thing, or sorry, not the same thing on the daily. The daily actually goes all the way down to about 23 even, maybe a slight tick below there. But ultimately, I think it's a little bit too early to be referencing that one right now. So I'd just be looking at the 4-hour right here, and yeah, somewhere down around here. That's where I'd be looking for a nice little bounce. Not necessarily calling a reversal. We'll have to come back, you know, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after that, and speak about that. But as we were speaking about yesterday, you know, yesterday, in my opinion, really was Bitcoin's chance to continue on with this rally. And it is a concerning signal that we did not see that continuation. I mean, you know, if you want to be like very precise, yeah, Bitcoin did make a new high yesterday, but that was not the confirmation that we were looking at for continuation into new highs. Really wanted to see a closure above 25,200 on these medium and lower term timeframes, which obviously did not happen. Once that, you know, occurred, well, you know, downside became a lot more likely, which is kind of where we're at right now. Moving on to the daily, we all spoke yesterday about potential daily bearish divergence forming. That did indeed form, and we can see that actually several draws coming off the current high. You know, usually in these situations, a bit of a pullback somewhere down around the 21 is probably where I'm going to be looking towards. And guess where that is? 23,350. So right around that 23,450-ish region, or sorry, 23,400-ish region that we were just referencing earlier from the HPDR range, which yes, I would trust a lot more in this particular regard. Now moving on into stochastic momentum, even hourly pressures to the downside, and again, this was also a bit of a harbinger yesterday, as did fail the momentum pivot even before the earlier dump off. But yeah, still pressure down as long as Bitcoin's below 24,050, which is actually pretty much out right now. So this move short term is starting to get a little bit more extreme, but referencing then the medium term timeframes like the 4-hour, again, strong pressure down here as long as Bitcoin's basically below 25. 6-hour time frame, strong pressure down as long as Bitcoin's below 25 again. And 12-hour time frame also twisting down as long as Bitcoin's below 24,330. So yeah, I'd say short-term downside continuation probably more likely here. Probably more likely. Looking at the daily, still showing upside, but well, that would essentially call into question like this as like a major reversal, if you will. So I do still want to step away from the from that particular conversation. I'll repeat what I've been repeating for the past 4 or 5 days now, or I guess it's been like 10 days actually. Look, as long as Bitcoin's above that last prior higher low on a daily closing basis at about 21,700. I'm not going to be bearish, and on the higher term timeframes, obviously, everything would just be a higher low in between there. So do be aware of that. Anyways, yeah. So I think we're kind of getting to the end of this analysis. A little bit on the shorter side, obviously. Again, short-term pivot. As long as Bitcoin's below 24.5, even like a 4-hour time frame closing basis, pressures to the downside, with bounces along the way. But I do want to give a bit of notice to the setup potentially emerging over here. So this is the 90-minute time frame. I'll hide this for the time being. And the 90-minute time frame, well, we can see that that one of the strategies that I put out for free on this channel, or put out freely on this channel, I should say, is well, potentially it's very likely gonna have a signal relatively soon. So what essentially is it? It's the jewel lite strategy that I put out. It must have been like 4 or 5 months ago now, where basically it's very fucking simple in this case. Basically, anytime we see it come down below the 35 marker right here and then turn white on the first tick, well, that initiates a setup alongside the daily trend. So in this case, the daily trend needs to be to the upside. Obviously, the daily trend is still to the upside. So this, assuming that it does turn white, would indicate that we're more likely to bounce and have like a decent bounce. That's when we can go and reference these statistics over here. These statistics showing about 72% strike rate with that particular setup. So high probability that we'd see a decent bounce with a 1.7 profit factor, which, in my opinion, pretty damn good. Anyways, this data has been back tested back towards 2019. And I would say don't get caught up with the net profit or the max drawdown here. The reason why is because, or you actually can't even see that. Apologies. Let me pull it up a little bit more then. Why won't you let me pull it up more? What the fuck? Okay. This is very strange. I haven't had this issue before. I feel like a fucking boomer. It's like, hey, how do you make the internet work here? Wait, what's this? What's this all about? It's like fucking English people whenever something goes wrong. It's like, right, okay, what's this all about then? It's like something terrible happens, like, my child just died. Right, okay, what's this all about then? It's response to fucking everything. Anyways, apparently I can't. Why can't I actually? Okay, this should work. There we go. Okay, there we go. Right, okay, figured it out. There we go. Okay, so the net profit and the max drawdown here. This is based off of a base position side of 300,000. Let me just double check on that. Yeah, 300,000. So it's like, it's not like one Bitcoin position size or anything like that. It's just, for simulation purposes, but ultimately, looking at this here, it would suggest that once we do get that set up, which will inevitably be happening probably within the next day period, very, very likely to get a bounce. The question is, how far down do things come before that triggers off? So if you do have access to this, or if you do have a means of following this, that would be something that I'd be checking in on throughout the day. As once that does happen, probably going to have a sizable bounce. back somewhere around 24, maybe even back above 24, depending upon how far down first we get. I mean, if Bitcoin digs in right here, trades sideways, and then you get it, all right, then probably looking at 24.5. If Bitcoin trades all the way down to, let's say, like 23.4, 23.3 region, then maybe a bounce back somewhere around 24 or so. But until then, it's potential, just hasn't really fired off yet. So that'd be the next thing that I'm kind of looking for if I were looking for such things. Anyways, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off. Right, okay, I think that's the end of the stream here. Once again, I want to shill Bybit. Bybit's got their 0% on maker fees promotion still going on, I do believe, for 30 days upon signing up. As always, read the fine print that they have available on their site for whatever promotion that they might be promoting. And yeah, it's time for me to wish you, I'd like to wish you the best of the best. Take care, much love, and toodaloo.